Hello, you guys, and welcome back to another Flower Ed podcast. This is a video show, so if you want to watch it on YouTube or on Spotify, please do so. If not, I'm so happy to be back in your ears for another episode. I have some cool stuff that I want to speak to. I was going to just pull on one thing, and then now my brain's like, I've got a few things I want to speak to. So I've got a really cool question from one of you guys in the Facebook group. So if you're not already in there, make sure you go and jump into the Facebook group. And I've also got a cool topic to talk about as well. But before we jump into all of that, on Monday, I had a really small wedding, and it really, really reinforced the whole idea around who you're saying yes to now is going to really dictate your future. And this is something that I had to learn pretty early on, is that at the start of your business, or even if you're not at the start, right? Even if you're a few years in or a lot of clients in, it is so easy to move into being yes girl again, or move from a place of scarcity, or say yes because you're like, oh yeah, I'll do the job, like whatever. But remembering that if you're a wedding florist, you are quoting so far in advance. Like even if it's just 1 year, that's still so far in advance, where so much can change within a year. And that's not even to say a year and a half, 2 years, however far away you quote in advance. I remember that I was yes girl. When I first started, I would say yes to everyone, yes to everything, no matter what their budget was, what their designs were, what they were like as a couple. I was just like, yes, 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 yes. And then I got to the point where I was like, I don't really like some of the briefs, and some of the clients aren't my ideal clients, or oh my gosh, I knew from that first inquiry that it was going to be a bit of a pain, a bit of a bridezilla, like whatever the story was. There's been so many moments where I've looked back and gone, probably shouldn't have said yes. And it is different because you're in a different place, but that's the whole point. You're going to be in a different place with your business, with your brand, with your mindset, with your human, with your values, with your team, with your life. Like everything changes between now and a year or 18 months or 2 years, like however far you're looking ahead. And it's just keeping that in mind. Now, I absolutely loved my couple on Monday. They were so beautiful. The wedding was very easy. I did it myself. It was like, there's no regrets or resentment around that, but it was a really, interesting reminder, I guess, that now that we've set a minimum and we have different kind of clients and different kind of budgets and things coming through, there's still a few that I'm doing from like a year ago, 2 years ago, which at that point I didn't have a minimum in place, and I was still saying yes to most people. So it's just really, really interesting. And I think it's a very, very important reminder, especially if you're early. Like I know it's so easy to, and this works perfectly for what I want to talk about today, but it's so easy to just want to be there so fast, where it's like, I just want more clients. And it's like, yeah, but at what expense? Like what clients do you actually want? What does that actually look like? Get really, really specific and say no to everything that isn't that. And if it means that you have to have less income for a while, or not have as many clients, or have quieter periods, and it might hit your ego a bit, so be it. Like let it be like that if it means that you're building towards what you really, really want. And this works perfectly for what I want to speak about, which is that you can have more when you can hold more. I truly, truly believe that. And I've experienced it myself, where it's really funny. We crave all these things, right? Say you're like, oh, I really want a fully booked calendar. If you want a fully booked calendar, whatever that looks like, whatever number of clients that looks like, say you've got 5 now and you want 50, that's perfect. But do you have the structures in place? Could your inquiry system take 50 leads that come in today? Would you be able to respond to them really quickly in the next 24, 48 hours because you've got that system set up? Would you be able to get quotes out to them really quickly because you know how to quote quickly? Would you be able to hold it when complaints coming in, which are probably going to happen 1 in 50? You're probably going to get one complaint, or one thing that goes wrong, or a bunch of things that go wrong. Are you able to hold that? It's the same way people say, I really want to set a minimum. I'm like, perfect, but you have to question, can I hold that? As in, yeah, it's really easy to logically think, how good would it be to get bigger budget clients? How good would it be to work with bigger budget clients? But are you able to hold that as a human because of the work that you've done? This came about today, which is really funny because I don't usually create content and things, whether it be a podcast episode or socials, until I've sort of sat with it for a while, and then I kind of tell you guys the lesson. So this is a bit of real time, but today I met with a client who is a current client, and her budget was sitting around, I believe it's the 8 to 10K mark. And we met in person, which I don't ever do, really. Not because I don't let them. It's just they don't ask, and equally, I don't really need to. I'm at these venues so often. I know them like the back of my hand. We have Zoom meetings. We have lots of different meetings and things, and a lot of them live far away. So kind of makes sense that we don't meet in person with every single couple. But if there's sort of a special request, and like this one was, I was like, yeah, okay, cool. Let's talk. Cause she was like, I want to make heaps of changes and it'll just be easier. I was like, cool, let's meet up. So we did, which was funny because I wonder what would have happened if I was like, no, we don't do that. So there's one first thing to be like, okay, even though we don't do this, is it going to take much out of my day? No, it's going to take an hour. That's it. It's 10 minutes away. That's fine. And cool, considering what happened next. So then we meet and we're chatting about what she's currently got on her quote and what they're wanting to create, her and her mum. They were so beautiful, and they're wanting to add on a big chunk of extra onto their budget. And what's really interesting is that I wonder if I had this conversation a year ago, if I would have been able to hold it, or 2 years ago, or 3 years ago. I'm going to guess probably not. I don't think I would have been able to talk such big numbers. We're talking like 20, 30K. I don't think I would have been able to even talk about that without being awkward or choking up or tiptoeing around it. But instead, it was the most honest and open conversation ever, because that's how they move. That is how people with money move. So differently. They don't tiptoe. They're not walking on eggshells. They're not like freaking out about talking about it. It's just like, just talk about it. And it's so interesting because I'm like, 2 years ago, I don't think I would have been able to hold the conversations that we had today around money based on where I was at, where 10K 2 or 3 years ago was like, blew my mind, was insane, was out of control, was like, holy fucking shit, that is so much money. That is so much money. Like, that is where my head was at. So then if I was to go into today's conversation with that sort of mindset in mind, and then they're talking about, I want this big install and this big install and this other thing here and 10 big abundant flower clouds and these stands and this drapery. If they were talking about all that stuff, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, holy fuck, this is going to be an extra like 10, 20, 30K. I might have been like, oh, yep, you probably won't be able to spend that much. Or, oh, it's stretching it a bit. Or like my energy towards them would have been so different to what it was today. Like so different, where I might have turned them off a bit, or I might not have been able to present them with an opportunity to create an abundant space, not based on what they were able to spend, based on where I was at in terms of money, in terms of talking about big budgets. And this isn't me to say that I'm like, all my money things are resolved. Not at all. Not in the slightest. But it is just the most interesting thing. And I think about that in other areas as well, where it's like the inquiries thing and the calendar thing. Do you physically have enough space to take on multiple weddings a weekend? Like, what would that actually look like? What would that actually require of you, both physically and energetically? As in, do you have the space? Do you have the cars? Do you have the staff? Do you have the things? Do you have the whatever? And then energetically as well, would you be able to hold that in your mind? Would you be able to hold 3 weddings a weekend or 2 or whatever? it's just so interesting to think right now, if you think of the thing that you want, whatever that may be, it might be a certain budget, it might be a certain client, it might be multiple weddings, it might be whatever it looks like. I don't care what industry you're in, whatever that looks like. Would you be able to hold that based on you as a human? You as a human. Do you have the resilience that if problems arose within that thing, would you be able to hold it, or would you fall apart and crumble? Are you able to do what's actually required of you as a human to get there as well? This is the funny part where a lot of people want these big, beautiful businesses. And the minute I say, well, just jump on stories and talk to the camera, they're like, no, but what else can I do? I'm like, cool, jump on stories and talk to the camera. Yeah, but what else can I do? Okay, jump on TikTok and talk to the camera. No, but like, what else can I do to get there? It's like people only want to get to their goals if it feels good and light and fluffy and covered in rainbows. People aren't willing to do what it takes to get to the thing that they want. And you are presented with opportunities all the time. And guess what? Every time you're presented with that opportunity to strengthen that part of yourself so that you can hold more to get to that goal, you want to tap out. You want to run away. You want to find the quickest solution to not feel that thing. So let's say you're like, I really want to be a confident person. I really want to feel so confident in myself and in my abilities, in my business. If you then have this opportunity arise where you have to or can sign up to a new gym, or you have an opportunity to talk on stories, like whatever the thing is, it's like, nope, not doing that. It's like, well, if you're not willing to do that little thing, how are you going to strengthen that part of yourself to be that big thing? It's so interesting. It's like, if you want to be this big thing, say you want to make a lot of money. If you make a lot of money, you're going to have to hold a lot of projections from people. She's up herself. She's got a big ego. She doesn't care about anyone else. She's selfish. Oh, it's daddy's money. Like, there's so many projections that come up around money. If the minute you feel projections in some kind of way and you fall apart and crumble to pieces and don't actually do anything to learn how to hold the projections, how are you then going to make $1 million and hold the projections from people that are coming at you? It's not going to happen, because you've tapped out every single moment along the way where you've had that opportunity to strengthen, and then all of a sudden you're ready to hold more. This is what I say when it's like, you will get more when you're willing to hold more. You will get your goals when you are willing to become that human that you need to be, when you do what is required to get you from where you are to where you want to go. That's not going to happen if every single time something arises and you dramatize it and you make it a problem and you oh my God, how do I do this? So many people get stuck in the problem, in the how, and in the I don't know. Think about it. Think about a problem that you have right now. Are you sitting in I don't know? Or are you sitting in, oh, what's the solution? Let's move right now. Like, so many people's quote unquote problems could be solved today. Even this next 5 minutes. Because all it comes down to a lot of the time is making a decision and having courage to do so. Because that decision might mean you have to hold more projections. That decision might mean you have to go against what someone else says. That decision might mean you have to strengthen your confidence. This is what it is to become a CEO. Like, this is what it means to build a really strong business and a really resilient human. And you have that opportunity all the time. Like, how freaking cool is that? Like, all the time. And that's how I look at it now, where every time a problem comes along, whatever that looks like, every time something doesn't go my way, or feels like a lot to hold. I'm like, this is cool because this means I'm growing, I'm moving, I'm evolving, I'm meeting my edge. If you are constantly only staying where it feels safe and good and warm and fuzzy, you're not growing. I can tell you that much. And in order for you to have more, you have to be willing to hold more in whatever capacity that looks like. And today, for me, what it looked like, I was like, this is really cool. Because right now, I'm like, I feel like I can hold this very easily. These money conversations, me leading the conversation as well was massive. So big, I almost want to create a masterclass on it. Leading your client is everything. It's huge. It's massive. It's going to dictate what they do. And they were leaning on me to lead so much today. So much. Every single question, they're like, what do you think? What's your suggestion? We trust you. What do you think? If 2 years ago I was like, oh, like whatever you think, or oh, let's keep it really cheap, based on where I was at, very different outcome to potentially what could come. It's just, it's been a really cool reminder for me today of so many things, even just this week. Very, very cool. So I want you to think of the problem that you have. Are you sitting in it or are you freaking moving? Because it gets to be as simple as that. How could you solve the thing today? Today. People get so stuck on tiny little problems. And I'm not saying that the problems that you have, you can't ask for help or you can't ask for opinions or advice. 100,000% you can, but it's what you do with it. Do you go, yeah, but that won't work. What else can I do? What if you just give it a shot and see if it works instead? Instead of sitting in the problem for days and days and weeks and weeks and weeks. I pride myself on how quick I can move, where I'll plug into my mentor with a question or what's the right decision? She'll give me her feedback and then I'm like, boom, executed today. That's how quick it gets to be. And that right there is momentum. Like that right there is what is going to build that momentum externally, but it starts internally. Very interesting. So very cool conversation, but I'm going to answer this question that came through on the potty. It came through about a month ago. So apologies that I haven't responded to this one yet. However, I'm excited to reply to it today because I feel like it's going to be different to potentially what you think I might say. So on the Facebook Podcast Collective, the Facebook group, you can send through all of your questions. They're all anonymous in the jot form in the little link in the featured bar. So send through all of your questions. I want to hear them all. I'm going to answer one every episode if they come through, but not many have come through. So go and smash that question box and I can answer a little question at the end of each ep. So it says, hi Lily, what's the top suggestions you have to increase sales with a huge jump start? I have a bit of a situation that's urgent, as I'm sure others do as well this day and age. With much appreciation and thank you in advance. What is really interesting is the wording in this question. And this is going to be a really cool thing for you guys to play with as well. When you think about a question, whether it's for me or anyone or even just to yourself, just think, what is the language that I'm using around this? So what I've noticed is, how can I increase sales with a huge jump start? I have a bit of situation that's urgent, as I'm sure others do in this day and age. Let's unpack. Increase sales with a huge jump start is a red flag to me. Not because you can't get a lot of sales, but because you're trying to rush it. You cannot rush it. And this is the whole purpose of even this podcast episode, where, you know how I said, if you want more, you have to be willing to hold more. It's also looking like waiting for the right client to come along. At the start of this episode, I was talking about how you are quoting for so far in advance. And that's where it's like, what if you can actually just hold more so you can have more. Hold more by not having as many inquiries move through to a consultation because you're so strict on who comes in, because you want to work with your ideal client at the right budget. That is going to look like holding more. You're going to hold more projections from other people saying, is your business really working? You're going to hold your own projections to yourself saying, are you even a legit florist? You don't have any clients, right? Your ego is going to get bashed around because it's like, oh my gosh, still have no clients. I still suck. What if you could actually hold that by building a really strong foundation of business where you're not moving urgently to get there out of scarcity? Look at the language of this question, out of scarcity. But instead, you're like, how can I actually pull back, create a really solid foundation where I've got a strong brand that I'm so obsessed with. I've got an ideal client that I am marketing towards, creating a lot of content and volume, having a really solid back end that people can move through. And this is the same for any single business in the world. While working on my mindset with a mentor, what if I did all of that without any clients or sales coming through for an extended period of time? If you could be willing to do that, what I just said, you're going to get clients come in really consistently. And you're not moving just to get that quick cash injection because you are moving from scarcity, right? Let's say I was moving from scarcity and I was like, oh my God, like I've got less income at the moment. So I'm just going to whip together a masterclass and I'm just going to sell it. So what could happen is maybe I smash together a masterclass. It's like half-assed, half done because I'm like, my frequency is out of whack and I'm so stressed and I'm moving from scarcity. I just like whack something together. And then let's say I put it up really cheap. I go, okay, here's a masterclass. It's $22. Jump in. Let's say I get 100 of you guys jumping in. Cool, right? Bit of a cash injection, but the masterclass is so dodgy and half-assed. I haven't set up an email sequence because I'm so urgent, because I'm so in scarcity. So instead, I just smash it out there. You guys jump in. You can't find links. It doesn't really work properly. The delivery of the thing is so half-assed. You're not going to come back. You're not going to want to stay in my world. You're not going to want to be in my energy. You're not going to want to be in my frequency. You're not going to be a match for what you want, which is a big, beautiful fuck off vision, which I know you want because you're here and you're in my world. Imagine if I did that. You get the quick cash injection, cool. Then what? You go into scarcity again. Because, oh my God, no one's buying again. Oh, I know what I'll do. Quick cash injection. I'll just smash out another masterclass. I'll make it even cheaper. I'll make it $11. Get 100 people in. They don't come back. It's like this vicious cycle that people get stuck in when they're so desperate and they're chasing and they're moving from scarcity. If you are that desperate, go and get a full-time job elsewhere and build your business on the side until you're in a safe position to do so. That is my advice. Like that is me from my heart saying, I know you have to pay rent and put food on the table. I get it. Trust me, I get it. But you need to be able to build this business really, really strongly and really well built. Not just moving for quick cash injections, not moving because you're from a place of scarcity. How would that feel on the other end? Remembering that energy leads and your words follow. You guys would know if I'm moving from scarcity. You would know it. If I'm like showing up on stories and posting these random courses that are just slapped together, and you guys would know that. So that's the first part where you're speaking about the urgency and the huge jump start on sales. I want you to actually pull back and think, what do I need to make myself feel safe right now if no sales were to come in for the next 3 to 6 months? If that looks like getting a full-time job, go and get a full-time job. That is my heart to your heart. I love you so much and I want you to feel safe in your body and in your life. And I want you to create a business that you're obsessed with. And I can promise you that if you are moving from a place of scarcity and urgency, you're not going to feel that. Because you're not focused on the impact. You're not focused on the clients. You're not focused on your legacy. You're not focused on your brand and what you're creating and how beautiful everything is. All you're focused on is the price point. And how would that feel for your customers on the other side? pretty rough. And equally, it's going to be hard to sell things as well if that's the place you're coming from. Because let's say I smack together a masterclass and then I'm like so desperate for people to buy in and for me to make so much money that I put it for like $400, right? But me selling from a frequency of urgency and scarcity and desperate energy on my side, that's not going to feel very good for anyone, no matter who you are, what you're selling, where you are in the world, in any sort of business. Like, apply this whole conversation to wherever you're at. It's not going to feel good for your customers on the other side. You're also going to start to move differently based on the fact of your beliefs. Your beliefs are, as I'm sure others do as well, this day and age. I don't get what that means. This day and age, I get what you mean, but I don't entertain that at all. So many people are talking about cost of living. I get it. I pay a mortgage. I pay a fucking lot in my mortgage. I get all the interest rate rises just like you do. Right? I'm a small business just like you. I have two to try and keep afloat. I get it, right? I'm not this like superhuman. I'm not this delusional person who's like, what are you talking about? I get it. I do. But just because it's cold outside doesn't mean you can't go for a run. Just because it's early and dark in the morning doesn't mean you can't go to the gym. Just because the water's cold doesn't mean you can't go for a swim. Just because cost of living is high at the moment doesn't mean you can go and make a fuck ton of money. Look how much money people are making. Go and find the evidence. Go and find the evidence. If you don't have it in people who are around you, go and find it on the internet. Go and look at business owners and coaches and influencers and big people in the industry. Go and look on TikTok. People are making your yearly wage in a day right now. Right this second. I don't care where you are. I don't care where you are in the world. I don't care who's around you. That's what is happening. Money is still being circulated everywhere, all the time, every single second of every single day. Money is so abundant, so abundant right now in this day and age. There is always going to be something. There's always going to be a reason where your ego is trying to protect you. That's going to feel really good if it's like, oh, cost of living is really high. No wonder no one's buying. Pretty easy, isn't it? Pretty damn easy to say that. Oh, it's COVID. No wonder no one's booking. I got a fully booked calendar during COVID. My bride this morning wants to spend an extra 20 to 30K on top of her 10K, 8K budget. People are spending money everywhere, all the time. A coach that I follow made $70,000 US dollars today. Someone just bought their dream mansion. Someone just bought a new Porsche. Someone just booked a wedding for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000. People are making so much fucking money. And if you cannot see it in your real life, go and find it on the internet. Because right now you're listening to this and you're watching this. This is one little snippet of evidence for me to tell you people are making a fuck ton of money. Go and find more evidence. Go and find more people who are talking about money, who are making a fuck ton of money. Stop saying that they're egotistical and they're up themselves and they've just got it handed to them. No, they're really smart business people who are making a fuck ton of money. See it as that and see it as very inspirational, very motivational. Stop judging them and actually start looking for the clues. Look at the evidence. The evidence is there. And like I said, I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying I don't entertain it. I don't entertain that conversation. Even though I'm like making a podcast episode about it. It's the only part that I'm entertaining it because I want you guys to feel that same thing. It's so powerful because it's going to be so easy to use that to tap out. Use that as a reason why no one's buying. It's very, very convenient, isn't it? It's very convenient. It's like saying it's COVID, no one's buying. Bushfires, no one buying. There's a We have to vote soon. No wonder no one's buying. Oh, it's a bit cold out. No wonder no one's buying. Like, there's so many things. And if you get so disgustingly honest with yourself, and I mean so honest, it makes you want to throw up with yourself about why you don't have clients coming in. What are people doing that you are not? Get so honest with yourself, because this is the part where you get to look for the opportunity. Okay, that person's making a lot of money. What are they doing? What are they doing? Oh, they have a really solid back end. They have really good content. They have a really strong brand. They have a mentor to lean on for support and help and advice and guidance. They're putting themselves in rooms with people who are having bigger conversations. They are following people who entertain things that are going to benefit their next evolution. They're looking after their human, right? They're moving in some physical form. Gym, running, swimming, yoga, whatever. They're getting a lot of sleep, they're drinking their water, and they're eating their vegetables. Like, if you want a recipe for success, that's what it is. That's what I want you to go and do. I want you to surround yourself by people who are just making you want to move, who are lighting a fire up your ass. For so long, I was like scared of that kind of energy, because I was like, I just want it handed to me really softly. I was like, please don't hurt my heart. Like, I'm a very sensitive human and I won't be able to hold it if you hurt my heart and you tell me that I'm doing something wrong, or I'm not doing enough, or I'm not whatever. And then I got in the world of mentors and bigger conversations, and just even like podcasts or YouTubes. Like, go and look up big people who are doing big, cool stuff. Start there. And it was really cool, because then I started getting my ass handed to me, and I was like, fuck, I hate that, but fuck, it feels good. I'm like, and maybe I'm that person for you. Like, I'm a very, very soft coach compared to people that I follow. I'm very soft, which is funny, because for some of you, I've actually had a client comment saying, oh, you're, what were the words she said? I think she said, like, I wouldn't describe you as like soft and quote unquote kind. Like, I'd describe you as like kicking my butt a little bit. And I was like, that's so interesting, because the people I follow kick my ass and I find myself very soft. So it's very interesting. But go and find the people who both kick your ass and tell you the truth and tell you to go and fucking do more, and then go and do more. Like, that's, at the end of the day, it's just going to take the work. So in terms of your question, I know it's very long-winded, but it's just looking at those parts, the urgency, the scarcity, the desperation. You need to switch that, because that's not going to get you anywhere. Even if I give you a strategy, having that as the energy that's pushing the strategy, it's not going to do anything. Nothing good anyway. You're going to start looping back to this same spot. And then this day and age thing, drop that. Completely drop that. And what if you were to just change that belief to money's freaking everywhere? Watch how differently you move, because your beliefs are going to completely dictate the way that you think, the way that you start to behave, and then the way that you start behaving is going to then dictate your outcome, your reality, what's actually moving. So what's really cool is that your beliefs are going to create your reality. However you see the world is the evidence you're going to start looking for. So if you see the world as things are so expensive and cost of living so hectic and life so hard, you're going to find evidence to support that. You're going to start entertaining those kind of conversations. So it's getting curious around the beliefs that you have. How can you start to move them in a way that you're going to start looking for evidence for the opposite thing? How can I look for more opportunity? How can I actually look for those opportunities where I get to strengthen myself and my human? How do I get to look for environment and surround myself with people who are doing big, cool, amazing, incredible things? Go and start listening to bigger conversations about money. And I'm not talking a couple hundred, a couple $1,000s. Go and start listening to business people who are talking about millions, multi-millions, billions. Start getting so used to hearing those terms and the bigger figures that you're not so sensitive to it anymore. You're going to see yourself move differently. So that is what I'd say in terms of your question. In terms of making more sales, which is a different conversation in itself, but that is your core question. But I want you to do that stuff first, because what I'm about to say nothing's going to land unless you do what I just said. In terms of the question itself, in terms of sales, it's the few things that I mentioned in terms of content is going to be massive. People need to know that you exist. People need to like what you have to offer. Those two things are going to get ticked off through content. You have free platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Pinterest, whatever you want to play with, where you can sit at home, cuddling your dog on the lounge, click a button and make millions of dollars. Like, I'm sorry, what world are we living in? That is insanity. Like, I know that it's so normal because that's what we all do, but that's insane. Like, think about that. Imagine if you had to pay for Instagram or TikTok or Pinterest or Threads or YouTube. We don't have to pay for it. It's a free app on this thing that we already have, that we already own. Wildness. So go and start smashing out content. And if you're like, I already am, either you've got two options. Make it better. You can come and jump into Master the Game, which is starting in November. Just send me a DM, Master the Game, and I will send you the link for that, which is my content course, which is insane. So learn how to do it better, become more magnetizing, reach more people by having better content, or do that while doing more. It might just look like a volume issue. Just start doing more. And if you're like, but I can't do more. You can do more because you don't have the clients right now, which would be filling your calendar. You've got the time. You can do more. This is me kicking your ass saying, yes, you can. Stop with the how or the buts or I can't. Just do the thing. Okay, so the first thing, content, volume, or get better at it. Send me a DM for Master the Game. And then you also want to fix the back end of how people are buying from you and their experience in your world, because content's going to bring them into your world. Then you want them to actually buy from you. So content's the first thing, where it's like, say you're selling a house, your content is getting them to the front door. Then your house, what it looks like, how it feels, how it smells, how the language is when they walk in, that's them staying and sticking around. And what's that's going to look like is them buying from you. So actually physically buying, and then also their experience when they're experiencing the product or service, so that they then go and tell a lot of people, but also so that you are delivering on the service that you said you would.